All right. Oh, that's what I want up. There we go. How's everybody doing tonight? Okay. So, for starters, I've got one stack done. This is a 3x2 cube. Actually, let me change the camera angle here. Rectangle dimension that I just got the top done a little bit ago. So that's 34 rings. We got 61 rings to go. So I'm going to set this. I'm actually going to move this. This is all the rings. Change this angle. This is all the rings for the remainder of this cube that I ordered. This is the spring steel that I've been talking about. So, let's make some room here. So there's that one. That over here. I'm gonna move this back where I found it because it's takes up too much room, right? Let's see if I can get a good overhead shot. This is a 12 inches, 12 by 12, 13 by 13, something like that. Big thing of Tupperware. It's 4 inches high, and it's full of these 16 gauge 3/8 spring steel rings. Hang on a sec. Let me get that out of the way. So those are all. Hey, Parrot Den, how you doing? James, would you call yourself Lord of the Rings? Yeah. Do you think anyone has ever fabricated a Bruce Springsteen doll out of spring steel and called it Bruce Springsteel? No, but I did see a mannequin covered neck to ankle in a Superman suit. It did not come off the mannequin, but it was a chainmail Superman suit. It was awesome. Alright, so before we get too far into this, this is a weave called Sandwyrm. And what I've done here is I've made chains of sandworm and woven and, bent them around on themselves to make a ring, and then I wove the rings together. Right? And that is the ringception portion of it. The weave is sandworm. The ringception is rings made from rings. And I'm making a cube out of it. Was it the mannequin of steel? It was. It was very much the mannequin of steel. So, this is the core of Sandwyrm. It's a full Persian chain. And then you add rings on the outside of the chain to make, you add units of box weave, but the names of the weaves don't really matter. They are becoming more identifiable. They are not historical names. Full Persian and box weave both have other variations of their name that other people identify them as. So, and that's the way with a lot of the newer chainmail weaves. Different people discovered them at different times and named them different things. So anyway, I've been working on this cube all day. Got up, took my kid to school, and as soon as I got down here to get comfortable working, he called me up and said he needed his recorder. I was going to work on the saddlebag project I've got going on. That didn't end up happening. So, next best thing, getting this enormous cube out of the way. So, how is everyone doing tonight? What are y'all up to? Got a couple people that have downloaded the app and joined the Discord, and I think the Discord's going to work out a lot better on the app than the original chat room I had on there. So that's good. And the app I'm talking about is the Mailworks app. It's a free list of resources available in the link tree in my bio. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. I was live earlier today on TikTok solely using TikTok's Live Studio. And we had some fun for an hour finishing up the last ring for the top of this here. But I don't have 10,000 followers to be able to use Live Studio, so Streamlabs and TikTok made a deal where you can get access to the Live Studio for 14 days or something. Hey Jenny, how you doing? And I was hoping that would get me a stream key so I could just use Streamlabs for everything, but it looks like I just have to use Live Studio to separately from Streamlabs. I can't use them both in conjunction with each other yet. But we'll get there. We are at 7,700 followers. Only need 2,300 more, something like that. So if you like chainmail, you want to find out more about it, I stream most nights of the week. Just hanging out, making different stuff. And you can come chill and ask questions, and it's a good time. You're great making a Vipera Bear's weave. Oh, a ring. Nice. I'm doing okay. Getting a lot done. I've got a lot of work done on this cube. I've got all the rings to finish this monstrosity. I've got hopefully all the rings I need to finish my Finnegan's Wake inlay. And then need to finish my saddlebags. And once I got those 4 projects done, I'll be feeling a lot better, but that'll be a big portion of the stuff that's been sitting around down here for far too long, getting finished up and put away. But progress, a little bit each day. So I figured I'd probably been weaving about 1,000 rings a day until I took, at a minimum of 1,000 rings a day, until I took a break last weekend. And I tell you what, I don't know if anyone saw my video. I had both wrist braces on. My wrists were swollen and hurting, and I had to take a few days off, but got back into it on Monday, and I've just been productive all week, so feeling much better. It's these rings here that killed me. These are 16 gauge 3/8 rings that I'm using for this sandworm weave, and a couple of days in a row I just wove too much. Yeah, carpal tunnel's something I have to actively try and avoid. So I've got wrist braces that come on and off all the time. I've got, where are they? I've got hander band exercise bands for my fingers. And copious amounts of ibuprofen. So, because when my wrists start, when I start having pain in my wrists, I can't afford to take long breaks to deal with an injury. I've got too much to do, to be honest. So, but I might feel this all tomorrow, but as of right now, and all week pretty much, I've been weaving a ton without issue. So knock on wood, let's hope that continues. Actually, here are, oh crap, I just made a mess. Well, I just knocked some rings off the table there, but these are the wrist braces that I have with me almost all the time. Your hands are complaining as you prep for the vendoring? Yeah. I believe it. People that do vending tables and stuff, the hustle that they go through making items for each weekend. And I know everyone's vending schedule is different, but some people are doing events every weekend. And it's like, that's nuts. I could not keep up that level of production. Maybe one day I will take like custom orders and stuff like that, but that's not going to happen until next year at the earliest. I got to get all this stuff done down here. Come on. Half these rings, the ends don't want to match up. Oh, I can hear my dog upstairs. He's got it's a corgi puppy upstairs, and he has a pen made for like small children, and he's almost grown, so he can knock the pen around, move the pen around to wherever he wants. So I was just up there a minute ago, and he had moved the pen in front of the basement door. I had to be careful getting out so I didn't, slam the door into his pen. But he's up there right now. So if you hear any banging, that's what you're hearing. Promise. All right. So, what else we got? I got a necklace I got to finish up. I finished up this wallet chain. I got to put the hardware on it, but it's a 16 gauge 3/8 square wire stainless steel wallet chain. I love the way square wire reflects light. It's fun. Lots of stuff to do. Let's see here. I've got about 3,000 rings left for this cube here before I have to order more. And to get it to the size that I want it, it's another 33 ounces, I think it was, to finish this. So I'm going to try and order those rings next month. I don't know when I'll need them, but I don't know when I'll have time to stop everything else and focus on this cube. So we'll see about that. I do have some bracelets that I want to get finished in May. I got to double check and make sure I have all the rings for those. But I'm still waiting on a tax return. So we'll see if that comes back without any issue. That's always fun. That'll give me an opportunity to provide funding for some projects. So we'll see. We'll see what gets done. Oh, and then I was hoping by next month, but it may have to wait until June. I want to get the anodizer so I can start anodizing some titanium. That's one of the tools that I want to have before the end of the year. I've got a welder, little sparkle welder for welding rings. I've got my rivet setup started so that I can start riveting rings. I need to finish that. I don't have all the tools I need yet, but soon. And then a coiling and cutting setup by the end of the year. So, of course, I want to get everything right now, but I have too many projects to worry about needing any of that stuff at the moment, so The goal is to just get some stuff finished so that I can make way for new projects and stop doing things like this jelly cube was not part of the basement projects, right? This cube over here, I could have left the rings that I had in a pile and left them there and finished all my other projects first. But no, what I do, I was like, oh, what can I do with these? Let me see. You've never seen this? How you doing, Broken Sauce Packet? This is a good stream right here? Right on, thank you. We're making some chainmail and talking about my hopes and dreams. And of course, while I am also trying to get all the stuff done down here, it's warming up outside, so I've got some outside projects I gotta do. I need to go mow the lawn. But I've got a fence post I gotta fix, I got a garden bed I gotta fix, I got a table I gotta make in my shed. So, we'll see. I'm gonna try and get out and mow the lawn tomorrow and evaluate the fence post. It's one of those things, I would rather pay someone to do it than try and do it myself, because I don't mind manual labor, but pulling a fence post is just a pain. Putting a new one in is a pain. Digging up dirt. I got better things to do. Alright. So I want to end up with 4 garden beds out in the back. They got to be fairly high up off the ground. And they're not for me, they're for the whiff. Oh. Be careful when weaving rings, because your pliers will slip and you'll stab yourself. Like I almost just did. Alright. Oh, I gotta tell you guys something. You guys don't care about this at all, right? But I spend time with my son doing his homework almost every night. Like, I'm not doing his homework, but he and I are going over his homework, and I'm sitting with him making sure that he finishes his homework, right? And he's got a spelling test every week. And it's difficult to get him to study that one, but this week we were studying in the car before school, on the way, and after dinner. And I told him, it's like, go slow, go back over your words, double check, make sure you got them right. And he came home today and told me that he got 100% on his spelling test, and I am just so proud of him. So that was the highlight of my day. He was very happy about that. You can't wait to get gardening this weekend? Right on. Like, I am not someone who can grow things. I can make stuff. But I have no desire to try and plant anything. So make the wife some garden beds and let her have at it. It's finally warm enough to get outside and start setting stuff up. And honestly, it's April. If we get planter beds in before the middle of May, that's a long enough growing season for a lot of stuff to come up. So we'll see. The only thing I have that's planted is I had a coworker give me a, what do you call it? It's a wild onion plant trimming that I planted in the ground in our old garden that I ripped out. We ripped out the old garden to put up a shed, and so there's a wild onion plant growing next to our shed. And it smells like onions every time I'm near it mowing the grass. But that's my only plant ever. And I don't water it. I dug a hole, I stuck it in the ground, and I left it there. And it comes back every year. So all I do is trim around it now. But anytime I need an onion, I can just go out and dig one up if I wanted to. Do I ever do that? No. But I have a wild onion plant, and I know it's there. In case I ever have an emergency need for onions. So we will, I've got to go out and at least, if I don't get a garden bed made, I have to remove the old garden bed. It was the top or bottom half of a bunk bed, and we just laid some beams across the bottom and built up the sides, put some dirt in, but it was not strong enough to hold the weight of the amount of dirt that we put in and the snow. And it finally broke, I think in February. The bottom just fell out. So I at least have to go and get that cleared out of the way. That and mow the lawn. We'll see what happens. So I'm almost done with the outside of this strand, and we'll weave it onto the cube here in a minute. And I know it probably sounds crazy, but it really is just one ring at a time, and you'll get through 95 of these. Clever idea for the garden bed. Yeah, I think it would have lasted longer. We had this old picnic table that's, a little dry rotted, but there was still some good wood in there. And that was the bottom of the bunk bed, garden bed hybrid thing. And we used it because she can't bend over. She needs the garden bed up pretty high. She can't do the, getting down on hands and knees, so it's got to be raised up in order for her to enjoy it. So otherwise she just goes out and starts hurting and doesn't like doing it. So I got to find a different solution for that, but I'm of the opinion that some cedar posts and beams are going to be the solution. If I can do it 8 feet long, 3 feet high, 3 feet high, 3 feet wide, 8 by 3 by 3 I think is probably ideal. Maybe a 3.5, I don't know. The issue, right, I could make a cedar garden bed any dimension I wanted, right? The issue is then I have to go and get and put all the dirt in it. And that is exhausting. But I really should focus on getting one done. If I can get one done, filled up with dirt, I don't need to build 4 and get them filled up, so that would be killer. Used Tupperware bins to grow potatoes and tomatoes. Looked awful, but it worked. We have a Tupperware bin out back full of potatoes. And I think it's easier for, especially for potatoes because they grow everywhere, to use something simple like that. Just because, depending on the size of the Tupperware bin, you can just roll it onto its side, scoop the dirt out, get the potatoes out, shovel the dirt back in, and put it back upright. But yeah, we did that last year. That worked really well. And I don't, when I say we, I mean her. If I look at a plant, it starts withering. Thank you for the dinos. Appreciate you. It gives me something to hand out to other people during their lives, really. It's like I'm not streaming enough to make a living off of anything. I think I've made like $8 so far in all my streaming rewards. But, and I just looked it up the other day because I was curious. One of my videos had a couple, like, it's almost at 2 million views. And there were these comments that were coming in batches about how I stopped the video at 59 seconds. And they were, like, kind of derogatory towards me because I hadn't gotten a whole video. And I didn't know why. And finally, one of them explained that you have to... They were like, oh, you have to go a full minute to get paid from TikTok, dummy. And I was like, oh, I don't get paid from TikTok. Like, I'm not part of the creator fund. Right? Thank you. So, I don't know. Maybe I should join it. We'll see what happens. My history with things like that, getting paid from platforms and making content for platforms, has been the instant you join any sort of business account or creator account with any of them, like, your views just drop through the floor. So I've never joined for that reason. I did start a business account to open up a TikTok shop on TikTok, and I mean, my views have been okay for most of my videos. The videos that blew up definitely affected the viewership of the rest of my videos, but they didn't. People will go and watch one of the big videos, and then they'll go watch a few other videos, but I'll only get a like on the first video. You know what I mean? Which is whatever. So maybe, I don't know. I'll take a look at the creator fund and see if it's for me, but like I said, most of the time whenever there's a, you know, a business account for, or you add your store to, so that people can shop on our platform, it's a headache and it doesn't serve the creator. They want you to pay for ads, basically. Hey, random account, how you doing? So, you're doing good? Right on, right on. All right. There is, it's like I tried integrating my website with the Face app and the Picture app, and both times it was a massive headache, and any post I made went nowhere. So it's like, for $10, your post can be seen by 300 people. It's like, oh, okay. Well, what about the 2,000 people I'm friends with, you know, that like my page? Will they see it? No, not unless you pay us $10. You know what I mean? It was nice chatting with you too. Random account and I were chatting about hidden talents and how my brother can do this weird yoga alien thing with his stomach. I don't know if he could still do it. You kind of have to be a skinny kid to do it. I'm so far away from being a skinny kid that I don't even want to attempt. Oh, thank you for the... Is that an ice cream cone? Is that an ice cream cone? Okay, nice. Thank you. All right. So where are we at? Hey, Dylan, how you doing? Ice cream cone and confetti. Thank you. You were a skinny kid in the early 90s, yeah. I was an underfed whelp that ran around the neighborhood with a group of other underfed children, and that was the last time I was skinny. Gotta get me to my goals? Well, I appreciate it. Pop back up on your FYP. That's where I want to be. I actually glanced at some analytics earlier after I was using Live Studio. And it said I was on the FYP 2% of the time, and where was I the rest of the time? On the live stream portion. Something's off here. I don't know what I... Yeah, is that the wrong ring size? You still find it cool how my brother can do that? Yeah, I don't know if he can still do it. I think that's just a wrong ring size. What is going on here? Yes. Wrong ring size. That makes more sense. You love my work? Thank you. That makes me happy. One day, I want to make some really cool stuff, cooler than even what I'm making now, and that's gonna be really fun. If I can get some of these, like, I've been doing this for a really long time at this point. Not as long as some, but longer than most. And I'm finally at a point where I know I want to take it. So, like, I'm looking forward to getting this stuff done in the basement down here and then moving on to some of these pieces I have in my head that I want to make. Send a ton of hearts. Followers should see you live now. Thank you. Yes, send hearts, share the stream, follow along, all that good stuff. The likes help put you back out onto the FYP. So when I said earlier that I was on the FYP 2% of the time. When you like bomb the stream, that puts me out in front of other people. So it helps put eyes on this. It doesn't necessarily direct it like a algorithmic ad or anything. But it does put it in front of people, so. What is that? A paper crane? Cool. Thank you. I saw it was in one of the Facebook groups. There's a ceramic. Eyes will come if you wiggle the jelly cube for 5 minutes. They're like, what is this? Wow. Oh my gosh, look at it move. It violates the laws of Newtonian physics. What is going on? What was I saying? Something. It doesn't matter. Oh. Okay, I saw in one of the Facebook groups, I forget, probably the main chainmail group over on Facebook. Someone made a jelly cube out of ceramic rings, and there are a couple of like large ceramic pieces that are out there, and they're so cool. I love it when people take their media, whatever it is. I've seen ceramic and glass and plastic and of course metal chainmail, right? And they make you know, some chainmail out of it. It always looks cool, you know. So it's a giant ceramic jelly cube that she was working on. I was super impressed. I want to see some of it in person. All right. It's like none of the rings are glazed. I don't think that they can be, and still, right? You'd have a lot of touch spots for any chainmail piece you did. You know what I mean? So I don't know a lot about how pottery works, but I do know a little bit. I think that it's the reason why people often ask if you could like chrome a piece of chainmail or powder coat it or Cerakote, or which is powder coat, or what's the other one I'm thinking of? Like you can't paint chainmail, right? The rings touch each other in too many. That sounded naughty. The rings rub against each other, also not good. When two rings come together, no. When there's no distance between two rings for paint or dye or powder coat to get in between, right? Then it leaves bare spots that you can't come back and go over later without, you know, running into the same issue, from what I understand. All right. Voila. It is done. We'll bend it around into a ring, like so. And I'm just going to weave it straight onto this cube, I think. It should go right there. How do you not get carpal tunnel? I do. I have both my wrist braces right here. Because I do this several hours a day and longer on the weekends unless I have a family thing. So I have hander bands. These are my exercise bands to help me not get carpal tunnel. And they kind of work. And I do a lot of stretching and I take a lot of breaks, and it's something I have to actively work against just because I'm weaving 1,000 rings a day, right? Minimum. Many times I'm weaving over 1,500 rings a day. And that's like on school days. On weekends, on school days, I get down here about 9. 9 after I've dropped the kid off at school and can get a cup of coffee and come down here, and I work from about 9 to noon, and then from noon to 1, take a little lunch, and then from like 1 to 3, I'm back down here. Then I go get my kid from school, and then after dinner, I'm back down here. Like unless we got other family things going on. But I get on here at 8:30, and then go until about 10 o'clock, trying to get this stuff put together. And so that's 7, 8, 9 hours of weaving a day. But on the weekends, I don't have to take my kid to school, so I can get down here about 7:30. I'll work until 9, go upstairs, cook some biscuits and gravy or something, and some eggs and some bacon, and I'll get back down here around 11, and from 11 until 10 o'clock at night. So another trick to not getting carpal tunnel, or to help stave off carpal tunnel, is using the right pliers. That is probably the biggest thing to do, right? So, like, these are Wubbers. They're expensive, but they're good. These are Zurons. They're not expensive. They're like $20 a pair, right? And I would pay that price many times over for these. So use the right pair of pliers. You want ones with flat jaws and long handles. That is also a good measure for not getting carpal tunnel. And that's not to say that you won't get carpal tunnel, or that you can start out weaving 1,000 rings a day. When I started, I was very young and very weak, and so, wow, that ring is really can't use that. Really? Another tip is don't weave upside down and backwards like I'm doing right now. The angle of how you hold your pliers and apply force to the rings is going to be what irritates your wrists more than most things. Okay, that's better. Hi, Elsif, how you doing? You're just gonna lurk? Well, thanks for joining us. Appreciate you being here. We're chilling. Just finished up a ring and adding it to the cube here. So I'm hoping, as with most rings, that it tightens up a little more, and like I want it to have some movement. And I think I mentioned this, like I was streaming using the TikTok live studio earlier, but it's like I can find some ball bearings to insert into the voids inside the cube to make it more rigid. I can take each of these big rings apart and remove a unit and make them 21 units instead of 22 in length. And I'm hoping that as I add more rings, as is the case with most cubes, it starts to shape up a little bit and be more cube-like. So we'll see. I'm new, you're on my FIP. What are you making? I am making a Sandwyrm Ringception Meta Cube. How you doing, Savannah? Elsa, if you're tired, you're still at work. Well, do you have the weekend coming up? Do you get to go home and rest? This is surprisingly relaxing. This is literally your ASMR. Right on. For Savannah. Okay, so this is a chainmail jelly cube, right? And it is made from a weave called Japanese 4-in-1, right? As is known in the chainmail niche. Each ring has 4 other rings going through it, right? Except the ones on the outer edge, right? Like, anyway, you get the idea. So you stack them up. You alternate each layer, and you get this cube that makes this fun little just movement, right? And it weighs a good amount, and it is fun to just play with. This is a ringception piece. Ringception is when you take small rings and you make them into bigger rings, right? So I made a bunch of little rings out of small rings and made a 1-in-1 chain, right? The weave I used to make this is called interwoven 4-in-1, right? And most weaves have names and they're fairly meaningless. Sometimes they describe the characteristics of the weave and whatnot. Sadly, no rest. You just picked up tomorrow and work Sunday. Oh, I'm sorry. Do I sell them? Not yet, but I know people that do. So if you're interested, you can contact Wayward and Whimsical or Astrid Wolf. They are the two that I've been directing the most people to. They take custom requests. They're set up for that kind of stuff. I'm not. Speaking of Astrid, there she is right there. She may even have a cube available for sale. So, this monstrosity that I'm working on right now, I'm making each of these big rings out of a weave called Sandwyrm, and then weaving them together in the same weave that I used to make this jelly cube. I hope that all makes sense. What are you making? Oh, I can't expect people to like be able to really tell what I'm working on from the title. It's a little right on. Yeah, I'm sure that Well, I don't know. Maybe she's not. I was going to say, I'm sure Astrid is tired of being tagged in every Jelly Cube video I make, but people keep asking if they can buy one, and I don't have any for sale, but I know people who do. So, which is most of the requests I get. Occasionally I do take a commission from someone, but most I try to pass on to other chainmail artists or artists that are in the Mailworks app. So, cat update, $500 a day for an x-ray that showed nothing, but they gave him fluids. He was very dehydrated. That's no good. And my son stomping around on the ground yelling at his dog is not good either. Because people can hear that. He's upstairs. He's like directly above where I'm sitting in his little game room. And he'll start screaming and knocking things around to like yell at his dog or whatever. Because he's getting overly excited at some video game or something. And then people hear it on the microphone, think I have a kid dying upstairs. It's like, no, he's fine. He's just playing video games. You can also recommend Nightly Creations. Yes. He does good stuff. And he streams on Twitch. Last I checked, I haven't been on Twitch to watch anyone stream in quite a while. They gave him antibiotics, anti-nausea, and an appetite stimulant. Okay. Well, that's a start. Hopefully, like, I mean, they're kind of sounds like they're throwing the book at him and saying, hey, hopefully something sticks. Is that kind of the gist you got? All right, I gotta go this way now. Because if you're sick, dehydrated, and hungry, you know, you probably would act weird and not feel very good. Well, I hope one of those works, or the combination of all three. We had an outdoors cat down in Texas, and my wife found him just laying in the yard, kind of panting, and that's not his normal behavior at all, just completely opposite of his normal behavior. And it turned out that, and she picked him up, took him to the vet, and he was not a cat you pick up, but he was so sickly that he let her pick him up, as sickly cats do. And she took him to the vet, and they found a gash right on his backside, underneath his tail, that she didn't see. And apparently he'd been in a fight with another cat, and his little butt wound got infected, and he was quite ill. But he pulled through, and we couldn't bring him up to Wisconsin because it's too cold up here, so he lived out the remainder of his days on the farm. And I'm assuming he lived a happy life as a barn cat. Last I checked, he was still alive, but $900 so far, no answers. So you're loving the tags all the time about the cubes. Okay, good. I'll keep, as long as people keep asking, I'll keep, pointing people your direction. Okay, well, one thing you want to avoid when making chainmail is awkward angles for your pliers, because that kills your wrists. But sometimes it's upside down and backwards until you get it figured out. Come on. This is ring number 35, so we have 60 to go. Astrid is, were you here at the beginning? Or did you just pop in a minute ago? Because I have a Tupperware, a thing of Tupperware that I want to show you. You were putting the kids to sleep? Did you use the chokehold method or the ether method? I'm just kidding. Don't use those on your kids. Though, my son is 9, and it's very often tempting. I'm not gonna lie. It's like, just go lay down in bed and pretend to be asleep until you fall asleep. It's really simple. But I can't sleep. Okay, great. That's how everyone gets to sleep. Alright, there it is. We're building upwards now, or sideways, depending on the orientation of this thing. That's going to be cool. Alright. Alright, you were putting kids to sleep? Let me show you something. I got to get up for this. Hang on. Don't go away. Oh my goodness. Okay. So, in order for this project to be completed, I have, as of right now, this is a little over 6,000 rings, right? 35 rings times 176 rings per ring is 6,000 to a little less than 6,200 something, right? And in order to finish the cube, I need the remainder of these rings. So I did the math and figured out how many rings I need and ordered them all at once. And it's about 10,000 rings right here. Just all cleaned up, polished, ready to go. You're going to start calling me Link. So satisfying. Alright, anyway, so about 10,000 clean, polished, stainless steel, spring steel rings ready to go. And it's heavy. By the time I get done with these rings, by the time I get done with this cube, it's going to be about 22 pounds. Justin, I did get your message about Tuesday. Come on, let go. When you can't decide on colors, you'll buy mixed rings. One of your favorite things is sorting them. Right on. See, that's one of the things that I had to learn, right? Is that I can make cool stuff if I use black and gray. But when I try to mix colors, anodized aluminum colors or titanium colors, it ends up looking terrible, right? Like, I got a couple of brass and bronze pieces, and they kind of look like doo-doo. The cube, this cube is 15 by 15 right now. What does it measure in length? It's 3.5 inches on each side. and 18,000 rings at this point. So I try not to mix colors. I am mostly sticking to stainless steel, titanium, and silver moving forward. Unless I'm going to make an inlay and do all the prep work for it, I'm not going to be ordering anodized aluminum in the future. So I can never pick colors, and when I do, they're the wrong colors. So it's like I'm going to make my artwork stand out in a different way. Hence the giant jelly cube thing. This thing. And a couple other pieces I've tried so far. So and if I stick to those and then anodize complete pieces of titanium instead of doing individual rings, like I can make a cool color palette that way. All right, ring number 36 coming right up. 9 o'clock. All right. I've been averaging about 2 hours a ring so far. I thought I was going faster. I usually average about 200 rings an hour, and these rings are only 176 rings per ring. But some of these rings, the ends do not line up, and they've got to be adjusted. You're starting to regret trying to make this ring? Is it the ring size that you chose, or is it closing the end of it up together? What's troubling you? You joined the Facebook group that you recommended. Can you explain where you would find the plans on there? Okay, so the admin just posted that Facebook kind of put the files section on the fritz, but it would be in the files section for the cube instructions, I think is what you're asking for. Something happened and like all of the files couldn't be organized or something. They were found disorganized. Closing the end up, yeah. It took me quite a while to get several weaves and figure out how to close the end up on them. So it's like I have never successfully made Viperabarus. I've never had the right ring size. So like I've seen the tutorial on it and I tried it and I was like, oh, these rings won't work at all. So that happens a lot. But closing up half Persian 4-in-1 is always a pain. Full Persian's pretty straightforward. I've done that a lot at this point. At least 36 times doing this cube here so far, but many times before. So what's another weave? Half Persian 3-in-1's kind of a pain closing up. Byzantine's pretty straightforward. Dragon scale, like, if I remember correctly, as long as you do it like 1 by 1, you're good. What was the one? I'm trying to think. I had to do. Oh, it was Byzantine. It was closing the ends of this bracelet together, right? this 5-strand Byzantine bracelet, because I had to build one and then build the next one and the next one and the next one, but I had to make sure I didn't close it off as I was closing it up, and so that I could still get my pliers in there to put rings in there. First day you learn Byzantine, you have a full necklace for a square and figured it out yourself. Right on. You did it! Yay, good job. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. Alright. Congratulations. You've done something I've never done. Good job. I do have a beautiful Kinged Viper bracelet I got from Sassy Lass Studios. This one. And when I bought that, that was like the one time I tried. I was like, oh, I could make that. That seems simple enough. And I got the tutorial, and then I realized that I didn't have the right ring sizes, so. That was a long time ago. You need to make that weave? You should. It's like a braided knot looking thing. Or a leather basket weave looking thing. I love it. I've just never made it myself. It's on the long list? Yeah. No, I get it. I get it. Did I finish my thought about why this is taking me so long? It's because the rings, some of the ends don't match up correctly. They got to be bent into place. Whereas other projects that I've worked on, I can weave a lot faster because I'm not constantly adjusting the ends of the rings. There, now I've finished it. Now you know why this is taking me so long. So weaves on my long list that I want to learn. Moorish Rose, Kinged Viper Barus. Trying to think, what else? Oh, Fireworm. I want to learn that one. I don't know that one. But I have a Get Back Whip made from Fireworm by Masterlinks Mail. I get my links from... These are from the Ring Lord. The ones I have in my hand. The ones spread out all over the table. These ones are from chain-reaction.ca. And then I buy a lot of rings from joshuadiliberto.com. And if you want a full list of suppliers that I'm currently aware of, except for one who hasn't gotten back to me, they're an Australian company, is if you go to my Linktree and download the Mailworks app, there's a list of like 12 suppliers that offer different stuff. Some big suppliers, some small suppliers. Just depends on which company you're looking at. Tried making a hacky sack and bought one, but bent and broke. Did you make it out of, was it aluminum? Or steel? It doesn't, you could bend and break either one, but aluminum's much more likely. So if you want to make another one, there are plenty of ways to go about doing that. That is another thing I want to perfect. You found a chainmail hacky sack at a local Walmart? Oh, okay. I gotcha. Yeah. So anything Walmart, Temu, Amazon, any rings you get from them are going to be probably pretty sketchy at best. That includes Michaels and Hobby Lobby. I would not buy rings from them. Right? Even their jump rings, even the ones for jewelry, right? Most of them are going to be a crappy base metal that breaks really easily, is really brittle, and doesn't have any properties that are desirable of any chainmailer that I know of. But if you bought the rings and made a hacky sack, good on you. That's a great step. There are, I think, 12 or 13 suppliers in the list of suppliers on the Mailworks app in my Linktree, and I don't know if any of them have a hacky sack kit, to be honest. Randy, use electric fence wire to spin coils and make chainmail. I did that a long, long time ago. The metal I'm using right here is stainless steel. The metal for the cube here is it's bright aluminum, just aluminum that's highly polished. Yeah, Quentin. Let me get my nippers here. For things like a brass coat hanger wire that you go and wrap around a mandrel, a rod of some sorts, you can cut with snips of some kind, right? And for heavier duty stuff, like galvanized fence wire, these are HK Porter cutters that work really well. If you're gonna go the route of making your own, there's a bunch of YouTube videos that'll show you how to wrap your coil and what quick tools to use. But I was gonna say they also have aluminum electric fence wire that I've seen some people use and make some decent stuff with. And once you get into it, if you don't like the way your nippers cut, you can get a jeweler saw and cut your rings, or get different types of wire to coil. There's 1,000 different ways to make your own if you're just getting started out. There's no, the reason I order 95% of my material, 99, is because I spent a decade making my own rings, and I churned out low quality, crappy projects and rings I turned out low quality, crappy rings, and in turn turned out low quality, crappy projects. After you make the mail, you make sleeves of leather. Use a Dremel tool to cut your rings. Did you say what material you're using? Usually, it's an electric fence wire. Do you know if the fence wire is aluminum or steel? Because a Dremel tool is going to react very differently on either one. Right? Use a Dremel tool on steel. Do you break a lot of blades or no? I know people that have used, I've seen the Pepe tools on brass. But everyone that I have spoken with in regards to using a Dremel tool on stainless steel or galvanized steel says they go through too many blades to make it worthwhile. So I too have been doing it for 28 years. And you've never, I mean, like, how many rings can you make per Dremel blade is my question. Because I've never done it. It's like I'll have my goal is to have a coiling and cutting setup by the end of the year that's a little higher end, but hearing 28 years like hearing a billion years for you. Yeah, no, I'm old. I've been doing this since before most of the resources that are on the internet were even thought of. All right. Think someone was in the water at that time? Yeah. All right. You go through 2 discs for 3 24-inch coils. Okay. That's not... I don't know. I don't know how expensive Dremel discs are. Because I've never looked it up. Right? I made a bunch of crappy rings for a long time and made a bunch of crappy stuff for like 10 years. Then I found the ring lord who made a bunch of rings. I ordered a bunch of stuff from them. And I was like, they can produce a much higher quality ring than I can. So I'm going to order from them instead of making my own. And it wasn't until this last year I decided to get back into coiling and cutting my own, just because of the sheer amount of rings I'm going to need for future projects. It's going to be cost prohibitive for me to try and order them from a manufacturer. You can usually get about 10 or 12 in a tube for about $6 to $8. That's not terrible. All right. But there's other coiling there's other cutting setups like a ringinator, and then I got a friend working on one, and it's a lubricated saw blade to cut through large coils. And looking into a blade like they make for an angle grinder, but for a Dremel. Well, the kerf on that is going to be pretty big. Unless you know something I don't. But for most people, when they're starting out, I don't know if Quinn's still watching, right? I usually tell people, like, go and get a kit from one of the suppliers to see if you even like doing stuff like this. Because that saves a lot of time and energy. You spend a small amount of money, and then if you like it, you know, you can decide to make whatever you want from there. But if I had to do things all over again, I would order a kit and then figure out what I was doing instead of trying to make all my own rings. You're looking to But, you know, everybody gets to do what they want. There's some really good kits out there, like just a Byzantine bracelet for a small kit, up to the $100 Chainmail Joe kit that comes with a a lot of rings and a lot of different ring sizes, a tutorial booklet, and a bunch of different stuff you can make. Thank you for the share. Appreciate it. You want to use a chop saw frame with an angle grinder that lets you drop the saw and pull the coil. Oh, and pull back so you can cut a full coil at once. Oh yeah, okay. There you go. It's like, I'll make a bunch of videos once I get my setup going and everything. Hoping to do that at the end of the summer. But that's going to be out in the shed. I don't have room for that in my basement, and I don't want metal shavings all over the place. I've already got rings all over the place down here. I don't need to add giant piles of metal shavings. But if I put it in the shed, then it's going to get cold, and I won't be able to use it during the winter. I don't know. I'll figure it out. I've got a laundry room here. Maybe I'll put it in there. We'll see. A couple more tools to get. And we'll be a fully customizable chainmail shop. You're using a bigger mandrel, so when you close them, they'll be the same size as a regular ring. So you're compensating for the kerf of the cut. But how well do the ends line up? Like pretty good, or you got a lot of barbs, or... Now, I know that... Oh, okay. You go over every ring with a file? That's, I mean, that's good work. Can't, as long as you're getting rid of all the barbs and everything, there you go. That's cool. I have had to do that a time or two with various rings, even ones I've ordered, so... You mean like riveted rings and stuff? I'll be doing that, a lot of that, hopefully by next year. It's like I've got two projects, over 15,000 rings right now just being woven, so... It's like I'll have several riveted ring projects. And they will be I don't know how many thousands of rings, but probably a lot because of what I plan on doing. So, but if I was gonna say, instead of using a file to cut down on your burrs and barbs, have you ever used a tumbler? So I had some titanium with barbs on it, and I threw it in a tumbler with some ceramic, and it took a little bit, but the barbs were gone in about 10-12 hours, as opposed to going over everything with a file. That sounds like an extra step, you know what I mean? Like, while I'm weaving this somewhat quickly, and while riveted would be slower, I still don't, regardless of that, I don't want to be going over every additional ring end with a file unless I really have to. You're going to start working on a headpiece and glove covers? Right on. So I started a coif, and then what had happened was I had a coif started, and then I ordered rings for it to finish it, and the rings were a different size. And then I got rid of the old rings and had this patch of new rings, and the new rings were not the same as the old size, but I could order more of the new rings, and so I ordered more. And then I went to go, I used them up, ran out, and now my supplier's out, and I have this awkward coif-looking thing left that I finished. I don't know, or was that earlier this year, or was that end of last year? I don't know what I'm going to do with it. It does need more work anyway. Beyond just adding rings to it, it needs some tailoring because of the way it drapes over the body. But like, that is my second headpiece that I've done. Oh, and the colors of the rings don't match, so like, I tumbled the crap out of them and couldn't get them to match, but it is what it is. Done is better than perfect sometimes, especially for projects that are like the headpiece that I made for my basement just hangs out by my chainmail shirts, and then it's just for people who come downstairs and drink at the bar to put on, because a lot of times they'll put on one of the chainmail shirts and then now they'll have a headpiece to put on as well, and then we take pictures of them and make fun of them as they drunkenly try to remove the chainmail shirt. It's fun. It's a good life. It's a good life. Don't fall down. Where am I? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. This will be 18. We got to go to 21. So 18, 19, 20, 21. All right, I've got this, the cube I'm working on, this enormous monstrosity to finish. I've got this cube to continue working on. I've got a bunch of belts and guitar straps that need leather work done for them. I don't know. The motorcycle project is an ongoing project. You knew a guy that made the chainmail suit, one piece. He worked on it for about 6 months nonstop. He was recovering from a wreck. You cut all his rings for him. I wonder if I have seen that suit. There is a pretty famous picture in the chainmail world of a guy in a chainmail suit. Now that's a cool piece. But I don't know his name, and I don't know the creator or anything about it. I should do a video on that for TikTok. I haven't done an informative chainmail video. My last one was going to be about World War II nets and boats and giant chainmail nets draped around them to prevent torpedoes. But I got sidetracked from making videos, and I was working on projects and live streaming, so I should get back to that. I should inquire about the suit. It was worn in the Kansas City Ren Fair back in the 90s. Yeah, I don't know if that's the one that I am aware of. I wonder if there are any surviving pictures of it. That'd be cool to compare, right? Yeah. Let's see here. There are a couple more rings here, and then we'll start on the outside of this chain. What time is it? 9:33. I don't think we're going to get this ring done before the next night, but that'll be almost 36 rings done. You haven't seen Eric in about 30 years. He was about a foot taller than you. You're 6'3". Dang. What's the weather like up there? I'm nowhere near that tall. I'm not short, but I am just above average height in America. I ran into, okay, I don't know, if you've been hanging out at all, you might have heard the story about how I was on Facebook and I saw the guy from my local bike store doing a reel for Facebook for the bike shop. And I was like, you know, hit like, because I like going to that like shop. And then I swing over to TikTok, and there's his doppelganger right there talking about smoking meat in his backyard. And I was like, holy crap, what is going on? So I hopped into his live, and then I found out it's the same person. And I was like, I got to go by the bike store anyway. I had to get some knobs for my saddlebags to change out the little twist-on placeholders that saddlebags come with on Harleys. And I went to go say hi to my friend that I had, stumbled into his live online. And before when I'd seen him, he's standing up leaning over a desk, right? So his head is in like normal peripheral viewing of mine, okay? And he was standing up at the bike shop, and he's head and shoulders taller than me. I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that he was that big. You know how like small dogs or cats, you can't see them out of your peripheral, and you walk into them all the time because they're savage little animals trying to get your legs all tangled up and make you fall. That's what this was like. Like he's head and shoulders up here outside of my peripheral to where I can't I gotta put my hand on my hips and look up at him. That's like, good Lord. He's tall as he used the pattern he made to fit and then added 6 inches to the arm. Yeah. In order to size this, let me find the biggest human specimen I can find. I met guys like that. Okay, outside every weave, or outside every strip of full Persian is individual units of box weave attached to every unit of full Persian to make the sandworm weave. And then we'll roll it around in on itself to make a ring and add it to this monstrosity over here. But that is what we're doing. Where are we at? It's 9:30. We'll get through this as much of this as we can. I did enjoy the giant Tupperware bin of 10,000 rings that are all cleaned up, ready to go. It's like what is 6,000 out of 16? Well, it's 16,700. So what is? Let's see here. Where's my calculator? Calculator. 16,700 minus, we'll just say 6,000. It's like 6,200 now. So it's a little over a third. We're a little over a third of the way done. Only 11,000 more rings to go. Which is not bad. It's like, I'm not going to work on this over the weekend. I am going to come down here early tomorrow and finish lacing up that other saddlebag so I can get it out of the basement. I let myself be distracted yesterday and today, and I didn't get the saddlebag project worked on at all. So it's like I have to force myself to finish it because it's the smallest of all the projects I have left. It will take the least amount of time. It'll probably take me a day and a half to finish. Whereas everything else that I am working on will take several days. Weeks, you know. So come down here bright and early. Shouldn't take me longer than, with the lacing alone would take me about 6 hours to finish up. So, and there's some chainmail involved in there too. So I'm going to say I've got 10 hours worth of work left, if I had to guess, on the saddlebag. And I want to get that done so I can get on the bike, go get my oil changed, and get out and go for a ride next week. And then, once I'm done with the second saddlebag, I've got the leather all ready to start measuring out the leather bib for the gas tank for the saddlebag. And I've got the toolkit down here, so I can cut that open and start stamping holes in that to put some chainmail on that. And I'd like to be a little bit farther along in that project than I am, but it is what it is. It's getting done, little by little. And that's, I don't know, that's pretty much all my chainmail projects. I've got some leather projects I want to work on. I've got a chainmail stamp for leather, and I had a chainmail hat band on one of my hats, and I took it off because it was too heavy, period, right? So I'm going to make a leather stamped hat band for it, so I need to do that. And I've got everything I need for that, except for silver paint. I'm going to stamp it out, paint it silver, and then put antiquing over the top of it. I was told by the Tandy leather people that that wouldn't work, but then I saw someone, which that didn't make sense to me, that why it wouldn't work, right? But then I saw someone do it on a piece of leather armor they had made, and I was like, holy cow, that is exactly what I need to do. And then, thank you, Nick. How you doing? So I need to go get silver paint from Tandy. There's a couple other things I need to get from there as well. Problem with me walking into a leather shop is that I just start going around and it's like, oh, this piece of leather looks nice, and this piece of leather looks nice, and this tool looks nice, and that stamp looks nice, and I would like to own that. And next thing I know, I've racked up $500, and it's like, oh, you're doing good? That's good to hear. We're making some chainmail here. Weaving together a couple rings. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. Come on, don't do this to me. Don't embarrass me in front of my friends. Close nicely. There you go. That's better. Okay. All right, I'm not going to get through this chain in the next 15 minutes, but this we're using this chain to make rings and then weaving them together in a cube pattern. So this will be added to this. That's what we're working on. And the more rings added to that, the more it'll stabilize and look like what I want it to look like, hopefully. All right, 2 hours is a pretty long stream for me. So oh crap, 6 to that ring. I told you about the 100% my kid got on his spelling test. All my project ideas, my hopes and dreams. Awkward anecdotal and relatable childhood stories. I don't know if I included any of those tonight. Very different art. Thank you for the awesome. Yeah, it is weird, right? Like, chainmail is this 2,000-year-old technology that the Etruscans handed off to the Romans, and then it was like this European foreign one weave that everyone used for the majority of all of it, except for the Chinese and the Japanese. And then, like, 50 years ago, people started coming up with different weaves, and the rate of growth in the last 30 years that I've been doing this has been exponential. So there are more people now making chainmail, using more materials, using more ring sizes, using better quality materials than at any point in history. It's been a great live. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I'm glad you enjoyed it. But I do, you know, like, I don't do sports. I don't know anything about it. I haven't read a book in quite a while. The next book I'm trying to read, I'm trying to find time to read this dang thing. Come here, you. Medieval Military Technology by Kelly DeVries, right? Recommended to me by someone on TikTok, and I haven't had a chance to crack it. Trying to, you know, peruse and see if there's something that pertains to how I can make stuff better in here. Learn a little bit more about stuff, you know? Got to protect yourself from marauding knife attacks. Yeah, there you go. So that was the last book I ordered that I need to read. And then, I don't know. None of the books that I have on my to-be-read shelf are looking interesting right now. It's like, what was the last series I read? I'm waiting on, okay. I made a post about this the other day. I'm waiting on Patrick Rothfuss to finish The Doors of Stone. It's been a decade now. I think Rothfuss is going to die before he ever finishes the last book. I know, or the third book. I know that a lot of people are waiting on George Martin to finish the last book in Game of Thrones. I think he doesn't have any interest in doing that. I think he's going to pass away before he finishes. And then Robert Jordan already passed away. And his books were finished by Brandon Sanderson. Now, I don't care for Sanderson as a person or as an author. I tried reading his books and it was mind-numbingly boring, okay? Nothing connected, nothing made a whole lot of sense, and I made it halfway through one of the books. I don't remember which series. And it was one of the books, I rarely don't finish a book, but it's one of the books I walked away from. And so now what I think is going to happen is that Sanderson, after having finished and ruined the Robert Jordan Wheel of Time, Eye of the World series, I did not care for the last 3 books or the ending. I thought it was poorly done, rushed, and a lot of other things. I think that Sanderson's going to be offered up the opportunity to finish whatever George R.R. Martin writes, whatever that series is called. I don't know. I read the first book of the one with the Jon Snow, right? I read the first book of that one and then promptly threw that away. I thought it was trash. And then somebody got me the books later. Like, I read the book when it first came out. And then a decade later, in 2015, 2016, 2017, people started asking me. They're like, oh, have you ever read this book? I was like, yeah, like 10 years ago. And, yeah, I didn't care for it. But then they were like, oh, you got to read it. And I started to read again. I got 3-4 books in, and I'm like, no, this is just hot garbage. I watched the first season of the TV show and tossed that. I was like, I don't care for Martin. I know. Who am I? He's a millionaire. Who am I? I'm nobody, right? So, but I think Martin's gonna die, and then Brandon Sanderson's gonna be brought in to finish that, and then Patrick Rothfuss is just not finishing his third book. Kind of similar. Like, if he wanted to, he would. Like Martin, if Martin wanted to finish the last book, he would. And so Sanderson's going to have this trifecta of finishing the Wheel of Time, the Game of Thrones, that's what it's called, and the King Killer Chronicles by Rothfuss. And he gets the opportunity to ruin, well, even more for Game of Thrones, but he gets the opportunity to ruin 3 book series, and they're not even his own. So, you've never seen Game of Thrones and you am a fantasy nut? No interest. Yeah, no, it's not fantasy. Well, okay, I take that back. It is soap opera fantasy with, like, sex crimes. And, yeah, it's like Days of Our Lives with dragons, is how I have described it. It's not good. I think that every time you don't know what to do with the character, you kill them off, is bad writing. And then when you have a miraculous return of the character, I think that's also bad writing. It's like, oh, they were eliminated because you didn't know where to go with the story, and then you brought them back because you realized that you needed them. I got it. Yeah, no, that's just... Excuse me. I understand that the medieval world was violent, and when, we had kings and knights and queens and dukes and, right, like, there was bad things that happened. And trying to reiterate that in a book is fine. Okay, but when that's all it is, it's like every time you turn around, and in the first 4 or 5 that I read, I don't remember. The opening of the damn book series is an incestuous relationship. It's just like, what in the world is going on there? So every time you turn around in that book, someone's getting killed off, essayed, terrible things just happen, and it's just like, okay, it's what it is. It's just over and over and over again. Not unending. Just violence for violence sakes, Which, don't get me wrong, some of the scenes are cool where they burn all the ships with the green goo. That was cool. Not all of it's terrible, but enough of it was that I was just like, eh. So, anyway, I think Brandon Sanderson's going to get the opportunity to come in and ruin it all. We'll see. We'll see what happens. So there is my rant to cap it all off for the evening. How you doing, Alex? I don't know if Alex is still here or how long that comment's been up. I've got 2 comment sections, and they're side by side on my computer screen, the TikTok one and the Streamlabs one. And nobody's been talking in the Streamlabs one most of the night, but someone just popped up in there. Okay. So, I'm going to ignore this project tomorrow, and I need to keep telling myself that over and over and over again until it comes true, and I need to finish my other saddlebag. And then I can work on this project again tomorrow night on stream, or the Finnegan's Wake flag, or the Jelly Cube, or any other myriad of projects that I have down here in the basement that need to be finished. But for now, it's been a minute since you've been here, but you're good? Well, right on, right on. I hate to have you pop up and then right at the end of the stream, but thanks for stopping by. I do appreciate it. Let's see here. Let me get this last ring in here. So, second to last ring. All right, for anybody watching who is interested in learning more about chainmail, there is a link to the Mailworks app in my bio on both the Google and Apple Play Store. And I've had some complaints. It's like, oh, there's a lot of permissions to download your app. Yes, there are, and that is to protect me and you and the people who see your data are Amazon, Apple, or Amazon Web Services, Amazon, Apple, Google, Cloudflare, me, and I wouldn't know how to manipulate your data or use it against you in any way. So I'm not going to do anything with any data that you put on the app. I'm not legally allowed to by working with Apple and Google. And so don't worry about the permissions. They're just there because in order to get my app published, I have to agree to have these permissions signed off on and whatnot. There are a bunch of resources on how to get started with chainmail in the Mailworks app, right? It's got lists of suppliers, lists of where to find tutorials, lists of where to find other chainmail artists and where they hang out online, and a lot more, and I am building it out as we go. There's a couple of icons that need to be updated because I changed some things around, like the Discord icon and the scale designer icon is going to be updated here pretty soon as well. Excuse me. If you want to purchase some chainmail from somebody, we did have Astrid Wolf in here earlier. She's in the artist section of the Mailworks app as draftandmail.com. Also on TikTok is Wayward and Whimsical, also known as Mother of Dragons. She makes these really awesome chainmail dragons. She does a lot of custom work and like cubes and dragons and jewelry and all sorts of fun stuff. She's an excellent chainmail artist. And what's your best advice? Add more rings to a jelly cube, like making it bigger once done. So I mark out 3 sides. I put a ring in the 3 sides I want to work on, and then add a row, add a row, add a row. Mark the 3 sides I want to work on again, and just repeat that until I get to where I'm going. And I do that because I didn't start out knowing how big I was going to make this cube. I made the cube, and then I came to a decision after I decided what I was going to do with it, right? If you're just starting out, I would make my first layer the X number of rows that you want. And on each side, just make the first bottom layer and then start building up from there. So, but if it's already a solid cube and you have it at one size and you just want to expand it out, I just mark 3 sides with a ring and then work those 3 sides out. You're very welcome. That's how I do it. Yeah, so if you want something made from chainmail, check out the artist section in the Mailworks app. There's a lot of artists in there that do custom work. If you want to continue to see me make cool stuff like giant ringception jelly cubes, please go to my website. It is listed in my link tree, but it is mailworks.com. I design and sell chainmail themed apparel and accessories, hoodies, blankets, stuff like that. Shoes are going to be coming soon, so we'll see. And a lot of other stuff. I have to sit down and I have to finish some designs I have on my computer, and I got to upload them and put them all together. It's loads of fun, and it's a ton of work. And I'm already doing this job. I have to stop doing this and then do the computer work, and I'll get it done. It's just going to take a while. But there's a ton of stuff in my shop right now: coffee cups, coffee mugs. What else? Please also go to my link tree and follow me on all my socials, as we don't know the future of the TikTok app. It's highly unlikely that if TikTok is forced to divest to a U.S. company, that the reach that is on TikTok will be available in the future, right? It will be algorithmically shut down the same way all of the other social media apps have curbed reach on their platforms and make you pay for it. So follow me on other platforms just to keep in touch, and then we will just try and continue to grow from there. So thank you very much. It is 10 o'clock my time. I've got to go get some stuff done before I get to bed. And you all have a wonderful evening. All right. I will talk to you all later. I am usually on 8:30 to 10 o'clock most nights of the week. I do take nights off if I got some that made me not be able to stream, like family time, or I'm, not home or something. And I do take nights off, but most of the time I'm chilling here, 8:30 to 10 Central Standard Time. So I will see you all again later. You're all wonderful people for hanging out with me. I appreciate you.